I don't give a darn about what other brokers think. I don't care where we sit in the community. If my brokers, if me personally, we're successful if we've provided for people at home and they can eat.
Your network is your net worth. Come listen to some of the most successful people I know share invaluable knowledge, stories, and advice in real estate, business, and beyond. This is Weiss Advice. Whether you want to take your business or personal life to the next level, look no further. Welcome back to another episode of Weiss Advice. I am your host, as always, Yona Weiss, and I am really excited to be here today with Seth Campbell, all the way from Omaha, Nebraska, one of the few of the 50 states I have not actually visited. So just throwing that out there. But wonderful to have you on the show, Seth. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. Yona, how are you?
I'm doing wonderfully. I mean, this is
Awesome.
it's an amazing day. I'm just excited to have the opportunity to speak with you and hear what's going on in the real estate world and what's going on in your life. So I'd love for you to give our listeners a little bit of a background, those who don't know who you are, what you do, and yeah, let us know.
No, I appreciate first of all, I really appreciate the opportunity to come on here again. It's just so nice to see you and really keep up with what you do, whether it's LinkedIn or all the other platforms. It's like you do a lot for the commercial real estate and especially in your space. And it's really awesome for that. As far as us and me and what we've been up to, it has been one hell of a year. Just ask my wife, between ending a 20-year career with CBRE as a broker there in July to starting our own brokerage to where we're at now. Omaha's vibing. Vibing's a weird term for Omaha. Omaha is steady. We appreciate a 4.5%, 6% a year on it since like 1920, and it never changes. It's almost like COVID, and some things here never existed, and that's recession proof. Which is the best reason why people come to Omaha and Nebraska when they're bored. But the best part about it is we have a sense of stability bubble, if you will, that, the ups and downs don't really touch us, which is the best part for our investment clients in our commercial real estate here. But you asked what I did. I'm a broker, number one. I'm a landowner. I own about 1 million square feet here locally in Omaha. My family has had that since the 80s. Long story short, my grandfather started in the, 50s, took 90 hours of real estate credit, bought 3 houses, lived in the middle one, sold the rest of them, and then created a couple assets from there. And everybody in the family of 27 has gotten into real estate and really started a legacy for that on my Campbell Management Holdings side.
Wow.
So it's been a wild ride, a lot of fun.
That's amazing. That's incredible. I mean, coming from a really family of real estate entrepreneurs, you don't see that too often. I mean, obviously there aren't too many families out there that have, been in the real estate investing business since the 1950s and are continuing strong and building that out. So you really do have a legacy that you're carrying on there.
Yeah, it's nice because I'm one of the only 6 that is continuing to do it. If everybody did it, then, it'd be harder to make money at it. But no, it's been great. It's been, for me, it's an homage, if you will, to my grandfather, who always wanted to be a third-party broker. And, my dad never did. And they were always doing the self-manage, self-maintain, ground-up stuff. And so getting it out into the third-party world after college, that was something that at 19 was total new to me. I was turning apartments when I was a kid. So now being able to go and broker multi-million-dollar deals and be on the corporate side of things and, work with Apollo, work with the different types of funds out there and know that is great. What I really was able to get from it was what I love is Omaha people and the mom and pop shops. So we have a lot of shop space and a lot of 2,000 square foot stuff that's hard as a broker to make money on, but it's really investing in people's lives here locally. And that's where my focus really has turned in the last 10 years. And it's been a lot of fun.
That's awesome. And you mentioned, basically right out of college, and you went into the brokering space and been in it for, 20 plus years, right? I mean, it's It's
Yeah, the gray in my beard is real. It only showed up the last 3 or 4 years apparently, and every time somebody new sees me now, it just says, "Whoa, whoa, gray." I'm like, "Look, I earned this gray, and put in every hour of it. I'm very happy with it, so I'm not dying it."
yeah, exactly. I feel the same exact way. I literally have the exact same response. The gray, I mean, look at my LinkedIn profile picture, it was from like 5 years ago. I haven't changed it yet. And it's like black, like now it's like almost white. It's
Every
crazy.
gray hair is another year of wisdom. That's what my mom always says, and I'm gonna choose to believe her.
Exactly. Yeah. My father, always used to say, he should be healthy. Like, yeah, I earned every single one of these. And then he would like point to me, he's like, yeah, this was the time that you did this. And this was, but yeah, I mean, it's incredible. So going from right out of college into the brokerage space, you mentioned you were with CBRE for many years, over a decade. And then recently, I mean, literally this year, you opened up your own brokerage shop. I mean, tell
Yeah,
me about what was the impetus for that? I mean, obviously being with CBRE, one of the biggest brokerages in the world, has
sure.
an amazing name. It obviously has a great reputation, but
Yeah.
I imagine you can get lost sometimes in the corporate aspect of it. And I'm just
Yeah,
curious to you. I mean, I'm projecting
sure.
that just from my own
No,
experiences,
no,
but
sure. And since I'm sharing this across all my platforms later, the reality is we had such a great time as CBRE Mega. We were an affiliate office for a number of years, and I still had a great time. All the people at CB, shout out to everybody at home or just down the street from me. But no, all good people, all great people. They're still my partners and a lot of stuff. We just own stuff together. It's life. This is just life changes. And for me, I think 40 and even 5 years ago, I probably should have called it it's time. And I just never did because it was just easy. The wheel was turning. And at one point, it was just like, I've done this part. I know what it is. I don't know what this is. While it's scary, I know that we could be successful to do it. And I love CBRE's aspects of CBRE. It is great. It is one of the biggest brokerage nationally. You could call it anywhere. They know exactly what you do. You can put a name on a sign. You can just say the three simple letters, and people know that as commercial real estate. Bob does a great job, even on MSNBC and all the stock things. He does a great job for just promoting the company, even from his meager means, Council Bluffs to where he's at now. And love everything about it, in all honesty. But for me, it just changed into I want to be an Omaha provider for Omaha people. And like I kind of said before, the mom and pop shops, I just felt like we can do better locally if we had somebody here locally that was just rooted in the community more. And I think the people that work at CBRE, it would be misplaced for me to say that they're not rooted in the community. I want to say like my platform, what we're trying to do is more community Omaha oriented and on a lower scale. I'm not taking the large developments. We're not even attempting to pitch those because it's not something that we'll make money on. It's not something that my brokers will have, I don't know, the best chance at, if you will. But we'll really get to know you on a personal level and help the legacy and wealth planning. That's something that I have experience with. My partner, Connor Dana, has experience with. And we both, my partner and I, come from families of real estate legacy planning since him way before mine. And so that's what we want to pass on to our brokers is how do they build wealth as well? How can they invest in the property? And so it's just different. It gives me a little bit more freedom away from some of the policies that CBRE had to have and has to have.
understood. And being a business owner and having employees, having a team that you're building kind of from the ground up is a completely different experience. And it's a completely different role. And
Right.
I totally appreciate that. At a certain point, some people, and not everyone, it's not for everyone, but entrepreneurship is being a business owner is a new challenge in life, really. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
not everyone's built for it, but it definitely can providing for other families and being
Yeah.
kind of that source for having employees, having a team. It's an amazing thing in itself.
Yeah, I guess the best part of it is I was tired and the having my own brokerage a little bit, obviously with my partner, he's just not here right now, but it's just kind of giving me a little bit of renewed life Financially, it's been a good decision, but more importantly, it's more fun to go to work every day. Everything kind of relies on making sure that I'm here and the lights are on and we're moving forward and we're not moving back. And I enjoy that part of it again, which I haven't had probably for about 5, 10 years right now. So it's been a lot of fun.
Makes sense. I mean, listen, there's so much joy that comes out of, just realizing that it relies on you. You have to put in the work.
Right.
Obviously in sales and being this, a broker, you have that as well because, like if you don't make deals, you don't fill that pipeline, you're
You
not
just want to
gonna
get paid. Right. No, it's pretty simple. It's a pretty simple solution in brokerage that you don't make money if you don't kill the deal. So, I get that. The other thing, like I personally have been running my family's holdings for 10 plus years now.
Mm,
My dad and family have been retired. And so, we have $40 million under management in our fund that is just a family fund. So Thanksgiving and Christmas are always super fun holidays for me. That's when I have a book and reporting that I got to hand out. So I always have that to kind of like keep me busy, but it's been fun just to be able to like put the two together, found an office, hire people again, really go through the personalities getting along. How do we do that? How do we pitch expenses? And then the best part, Yona, is just be able to be creative when I want to
mm.
and how I want to express ourselves as a brokerage or what we want to spend money on with. And some of that, when you're just with a larger or somebody else's company,
Yeah,
they're gonna control those decisions as opposed to us controlling them internally.
totally makes sense. And I'd love for you to kind of give a little bit of an overview and maybe for our listeners who aren't too familiar with the Omaha market. I mean, you kind of referenced it earlier that it's kind of a place where people go when they get bored, but it's a kind of unique city and every city has its own flavor. And I mention this because I've never visited Omaha. Like I said, I've been to almost all of the continuous US states. The Midwest, kind of the central plains is,
But
is one
they
area
call
that
us a
I've
flyover state for a reason, Yona. You should probably stop in and have a direct flight sometime to Chicago. And it's a 45-minute to Omaha.
right,
We
right.
just got a whole new airport going on. It's a good times here. I'll find you some good food. We'll work it out. Love to have you anytime.
So tell us, what is it about Omaha that you really love so much, and specifically about the
Sure.
real estate also, because being a property owner as well as a broker dealing with basically the whole city, you
Sure.
really get a feel of it.
Well, I mean, obviously, as an owner, I live here. So being able to kick a building and making sure that it's all working is important to me. But yeah, honestly, as a broker, what we see for people coming into the market to invest is just, like I said, the stability. Our
Mm,
cap rates are a little higher here. So if you're looking in California on a normal given year, you're at a 4 cap or a 5 cap on something. Out there, you're going to be at a 6.5 over here for a similar product. So that helps with people coming in the market. They think it's a little bit of a discount. Some people mistakenly think that a DaVita in California and DaVita here, it's still a DaVita. You're still buying a lease.
hmm
So, some aspects, the cap rates are different, but they're similar. But the Omaha area, in all honesty, like just from the industrial side of things, which is a lot of what I work on here in town, is like we have 107 million square feet here in town. So it's not huge by any means, but it's not small either. It's definitely a third tertiary market, if you will. But similar to Tulsa, similar to anything around here, we're technically a millions people in our CMA, which includes Council Bluffs and a couple of surrounding areas. But it's bigger than St. Louis, which not many people understand how St. Louis works. Obviously, St. Louis proper kind of maybe done it wrong, but St. Louis proper is half of us. And then they have obviously the outskirts that is larger than a million people. However, that's a fun stat that we always like to say is like we're larger than St. Louis. We just don't have the arch. But our vacancy rate on a normal basis, we run a 2 to 3% vacancy rate for industrial. On any given point, somebody comes into our town and wants to lease tomorrow a space that's 10,000, 20,000 square feet, 50,000 square feet. I don't have it. Nobody has it. And if it's not there, it's going to be built, but it's going to be 6 months to a year before our builds are done. I say the last 5 years, we started building the most we have in 25 years. We have 6 data centers and Facebook that came around. We've got about 12 other ones and travelers and everything that,
Oh,
unfortunately, data centers, what they don't do is provide a ton of jobs. What they do and they take up a lot of land and infrastructure costs and infrastructure demand. And they put a little bit of the labor force that they take all the labor and cost us a little bit more.
right.
However, what it does bring is, 10, 15 years of job creation in the development and construction of those. And realistically, it's amazing to see those on land that was never going to be used in Nebraska
Hmm.
and for years. And now they spur a little bit of more development moving in that direction. So it's an interesting market. We have about 5 to 6 million square feet under contract right now, which relative to our inventory is a lot.
Hmm.
And then our average asking rates in industrial don't surprise anybody, but they're like $7, $8 triple net,
Okay.
which 3 or 4 years ago, that was $5, $3 triple net. So our increase in where we were to where we are now has substantially increased to a point of almost 100% on some of this stuff, especially in the industrial market, because for whatever reason, they couldn't find it outside. Now, the last 5, 10 years, we've had very low interest rates. A lot of this stopped or got into a little bit of a problem in the last 6 months to a year because interest rates just got to a
Right.
point where they just, obviously for the entire nation, they cut off everybody for ability to do what they wanted to do. But, that's one of the solid reasons that Omaha is what it is. It's just this even keel, things like been going up a little bit, but not to the point where, we're hubris that we're going to, touch the sun and die. And it's not going to happen. Like, we're pretty lame in a good way. It's a pretty lame, steady investment. If that's what you like, call me.
Yeah. One other thing kind of strikes me is that it doesn't seem like, I mean, there are many other kind of big metropolises. I mean, you mentioned it's more like a third, tertiary market. There are a lot of other kind of bigger markets out there that I'm thinking of that really are continuing to expand outwards. And I'm not sure what that's like in terms of the suburbs or the surrounding kind of cities. Is it expanding in that sense, or is it kind of like contained to, hey, this is Omaha, this is what we got, and we're gonna
Right.
just kind of build is there like, I'm thinking just like Atlanta or Dallas or these kind of
Sure.
markets where it's just like every time you visit there, it's like keeps spreading and spreading and spreading.
There's always parts of Omaha's biggest thing is there's a picture that I really love that basically shows what we call as the old market. It's a touristy little spot of what we still have left from basically our old city. But Omaha was the biggest stockyard capital ever. Everything came through Omaha back when it was cattle country, if you will. And so we still have some of the old that meets all of the new construction. And so I would say that the best thing about Omaha is it always looks in before it eats more land. And so we keep investing in our downtown. We keep continually looking inward to how can we take old projects and make them new and still use the old in the new. And so I think if you come to town, what you're going to see from the airport to even to West Omaha, you're going to see the burbs. That's in West Omaha. You're also going to see an eclectic change from airport to 204th, we have about 200 blocks. You're going to see a change from basically a new airport that's trying to be hip and modern to 1800s buildings that's integrated into the new 2024 construction and everything in between. But yes, I mean, Omaha is spreading, which is great. We're constantly moving west, if you will. But realistically, we have nothing but land between here and another city for 45 minutes. We're not like Atlanta or St. Louis where we have so many surrounding towns to annex. Like we've kind of done that already. There was only like 3 or 4. So for us to grow, it's all integrated. It's all structural. It's all infrastructure that has to be put in and built. And that's how we do it. We just do it slow.
Fascinating. I mean, it sounds like there's a lot of potential out there. Obviously, you are still in like at the middle of the country, the flyover zone, as you mentioned, where it's not necessarily difficult to get to, but it's not as populous
Yeah, well,
some of the other places.
we don't have a beach or a mountain, so it's not like people come here for that reason. We have the
Right.
College World Series, so if you're a baseball fanatic, you know where we're at. That's
Yeah, but
about
it's just fascinating to me. It seems like there's a ton of potential. I mean, I've seen over the past, 5, 10 years or so, Utah and Idaho and these places kind of where a lot of people would think, at least East Coast people, right? It's like in the
right,
middle of nowhere.
right.
Like, where is that, But they've seen tremendous population growth. And I think, maybe in Northwest Arkansas, also like tremendous amount over there as well in terms of the growth. Seems like
Sure.
Omaha has a lot going for it.
We're constantly like any other smaller towns trying to keep our young professionals, keep our nurses. We have, UNMC, which are in Nebraska, University of Nebraska Medical Center, and is a very large cancer research center nationwide. So if you've been to town, sometimes it's like, sorry, like we don't excuse you're going through something, but we're always constantly trying to keep young professionals, young doctors in town. And to be fair, for probably 30 years, we just didn't do a great job. It was more of an anti-aging, or it was a depopulation that was going on.
Mhm.
I don't know the current stats, and somebody's going to get on here later with a comment and say, "Hey, Seth, you're wrong." But right now, from what I understand, like we're more or less plateauing that, and we're constantly going and doing different things. Jean Stother is our mayor here, and she's just done a really good job in putting programs into place. We have a streetcar coming, and we have a bunch of different modernization that's helped. I hate to say it because I'm old anymore and I just don't care, but more hip stuff that changed young people's mind as to looking out and hopefully looking in and raising families here. That's what we really want.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that's what really anyone would want for a city that they love and are part of and want to continue, helping it to grow. So I think, like I said, there's a lot of potential there. You have Warren Buffett. I mean, come on, like that's
And then, yeah, I mean, everybody knows about Warren Buffett. We have Buffett. I can't remember what we call it, but the shareholders being here every
right,
year.
right.
I take it for advantage because I've been going to it since I was like 4. So it's just another meeting every year. But no, Warren's done a great job investing in the community. And there's many and even in his family and the Buffett Foundation. So we've been very blessed, obviously, by him. And nationally, all the clients I know want to own something in Omaha at some point. I hear during the year, that's where Buffett is. So I kind of want to own something so I can
Right.
expense it when I go back to the shareholders meeting. Well, okay, guys, I get it, but can we make a sound investment first, or
That's
just a
fascinating.
tax expense?
Right. That's funny. I mean, people do that, Listen, I think there's something to be said about that, but no, I mean that's a little ridiculous. To me, it's fascinating. I'd love before we get into the final four, I'd love to kind of for you to share one of the biggest, ups and one of the biggest downs that you've had during your commercial real estate career.
Honestly, these are super transactional. That's mostly what I'm a transactional broker. So my biggest thing was we sold a corporate campus here in town, which we don't have very many. But the best part about it for me was not the money that I made or the purchase price that we got. Is my mentor, who had recently passed away, in that helped me get the listing at one time over my career. So we got their corporate campus. A friend of mine at CB came on with me. We got it sold. And then he had originally sold it to them. So for me, it was like a full circle thing where this was kind of a goodbye, if you will,
Right.
his homage. And I still work with his kids and some stuff and whatnot. But that was a pretty high moment for me.
Love that.
And then biggest low.
That's every day, right?
Well, no, I remember looking at my wife, and it was probably year 3 or year 2 in brokerage. So it's like those expected years of if you did really well year 1, that second
Right.
year it's a little. And I was just doing brokerage. I had no real estate passive income, nothing. And my wife wasn't working. She was a stay-at-home mom, first kid. I remember, and we had just bought our second house, and we kind of like did like a little bit of the upgrade, but just reached a little probably too far. And I remember looking at her, and we're having spaghetti one night, and I had made $12,500 June 1st. And that was pretty much like, I kind of just lost my mind. I was like, guys, I don't know what we're going to do. we're eating spaghetti. Like, it just so happens that we were eating spaghetti. Not that that was the only thing we could afford. I'm not that dumb. But like in my mind, I'm going back to I'm eating ramen in college. I've got nothing going on. This might not work out. What
Right.
have I done?
Right.
Now, the year ended up fine and everything ended up just as God plans it. But that was for that moment in my career, that was probably the lowest I'd been.
I hear that. Yeah. I mean, I definitely can relate to that personally. And anyone basically who's in sales can relate to that as well because that's just how it goes. You have
That's how
ups,
it
you have
goes.
downs.
Right.
Some are
It's how
better than
you
others.
it's what you do in the ups and downs that prove who you are as a broker.
Exactly. That's a well said. Yeah. Love that. Well, Seth, the time has come to switch to what we call the final four. So, first question for you is what is the worst job that you ever had?
It was probably, and this is not to I love you, Dad, but it was working for my dad when I was like, I don't know, probably 12. And we had to put up keystone walls. And it was like an all summer project, putting up keystone walls on a shovel. And if you know me at all, like my hands aren't callous. It's not something I'm good at. It's not something I like to do. And it was back-breaking work. And God love every single man and woman and child that can do that because there are guys that do it really well. I am not one of them. It fell down about a month later, and he finally paid somebody to do it, which was fun. But
Yeah,
that was
definitely, definitely not
that
so
was
much
the
fun
first.
there.
No.
Wow. Okay. Second question. What's a book you've read that's given you a paradigm shift?
Paradigm shift is a super big word. I'm more of a journal and magazine guy for the
And
record. But you know what? I really do a couple different things. I will say Walden and Thoreau. My grandmother gave me this book. It is an ancient version of it, it seems like. But I have taken so many quotes and thoughts from this that I've honestly probably almost read the whole thing at this point. But honestly, the Bible has been my go-to since I was very young. And I encourage everybody that whether you are religious or not, whether you're a Christian, Jew, or in the middle, there are so many good things that are written in it that it's
Mhm.
worth a read. It's definitely had an impact on my life the most.
Yeah, well, I totally agree, and it's no surprise that that book has been mentioned. First of all, the most read book of all time, right?
Right. Right.
And obviously the most wisdom, but it's no surprise that it's been mentioned several times on the podcast before by people as well. So I appreciate you bringing that up, and that'll lead us to the third question, which is, what's a skill or talent that you would like to learn? This could be anything.
Yeah, no, there's a bunch of them, but like what I would love to have time for is actually learning to bass guitar, drums. I play acoustic guitar. It shouldn't be that hard. I just haven't had time. So that's a skill I'd like to learn.
Okay, there you go. And surprisingly, or not so surprisingly, musical instruments, again, is one of the things that people mention. Most common answers are musical
Man,
instruments or language. So that's pretty cool. For the final question, Seth, what does success mean to you?
every time I hear about success or I'm talking about success, whether it's to my people, to friends, honestly, I just want to provide for my family. And that's it. It's number one for me is I don't give a darn about what other brokers think. I don't care where we sit in the community. If my brokers, if me personally, we're successful if we've provided for people at home and they can eat.
That's really what it's all about. So, yeah, I definitely relate and appreciate that perspective. So, thank you again so much for taking
Yeah,
the time today, Seth,
absolutely.
joining me.
Absolutely.
Where can our listeners find you or reach out to you if they want to, especially those interested in the Omaha market?
Sure. No, everybody should be. Not just a flyover city, I promise. Our website is campbelldana.com. It's super easy. Where all of our LinkedIn are on there and all of our socials, obviously www.campbelldana.com. But the reality is I love LinkedIn. I really engage with LinkedIn. So look me up on LinkedIn. I promise you I'll follow you back.
Awesome. Well, we'll make sure to put all that in the show notes. And congratulations again on starting
Thank you very
a new
much.
company, a new venture. I know it's obviously a lot goes into that, and wish you much continued success in
Thank
all
you very
aspects
much.
of it, and especially in your definition of it as well.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Yona. I really appreciate you having us on. And anytime you want to be in Omaha or come here, I can find a place for you and we can find a ticket. Just make it happen.
All right. Sounds good. One of these days I'll make it there. I do have a goal to visit all of the 50 states. So one of these days it will happen. But until next time, to our listeners, thank you all for listening once again. And remember, the best advice comes only when you ask. Real quick, I have one question for you. Did you like this episode? If you did, I want to ask you a huge favor. See, the biggest thing that helps this podcast grow and that will spread this message to the whole world is that if you leave a review, a rating, and subscribe to the podcast. What that does is it basically tells the platforms that this podcast is out on is that you like my stuff and I'm doing something right. So take a few seconds out of your day, hit that subscribe button, leave a rating or review. I would be extremely grateful. Also, I want to hear from you guys. So I want to hear some feedback. If you have any questions for future episodes, please find me on LinkedIn, send me a DM, a connection request, Yona Weiss, and I'd love to hear from you.